simply because Raynor is a scrub and can't be here on time. So, because of Raynor, we're just going to swap the order of the matches. Ever so slightly, not a big deal. The players have known about this for a couple hours or so. I've been out, so I've not been able to update it on Wikipedia or anything. So we're going to start the day with Spirit, our blue Terran top right, taking on Geralt, our red Protoss bottom left, as we get this up and ready to roll. So we might need to kind of swap the bet around, because that ain't correct right now. Yeah, Slowly's on it. I already see the bet being cancelled. And, I would say you guys get your money back, but actually we have to pay them mod, so we kept all your channel points for Slowly. So if you want your channel points back, then please at Slowly falling in the chat. And let's enjoy a bit of PvT to start the day. Feels like we've been casting endless amounts of PvT lately. It has been non-freaking stop. So very intrigued as to what will happen here as the barracks coming up on the front. It's going to be finishing in a few moments, and that probe just nibbling away at the SCV. Another SCV going to pull forward, and that probe is going to take quite a few shots of damage already. And that is going to be just chased around the top side. Next is onto the natural expansion here from Geralt, as we do have the obviously Cybercore to come in next. That's kind of interesting. We're going to play Cybercore after the Nexus. It's a little bit greedier. It means you don't get your early unit out as quickly, and that's something to keep our eyes on as this series progresses, kind of stuff like that, and see if anything really comes of it. Should make for a good little bit of fun. So we'll see. I mean, in general right now, we're just going to go into a bit more of a macro-focused opening and go from there. So let's see what happens as this SCV pops up into the high ground and is going to be chased down by a probie. Alan comes to the front. We are going to have the factory going down in the main base. Just looking to get that started as the Stalker continues to chrono boost out here from that gateway. Pylon finishes, we drop down a Stargate on the right side of the map, so that's going to be our setup here initially, get that Stargate underway, and Geralt to get aggressive. So kind of an interesting set of choices so far from Geralt. Intrigued to see what the next step will turn out to be for him overall. Obviously get that properly rolling here in just a few short moments. See how aggressive he gets with this Stargate. I mean, is this just going to be an Oracle very quickly into the base? Is there something more than an Oracle coming up here? There are a couple of choices that you have, so I suppose we shall see. Otherwise, in this game, obviously the build from Spirit is pretty regular. Wouldn't say there's anything too wild on Spirit's side just yet. That's pretty normal. And yeah, that's just going to be Spirit just kind of doing the norm, doing the usual. See what his defense looks like when it comes to dealing with this incoming, well, this larger force, being the Oracle and so on very quickly. I say larger force, but quick force of aggression coming his way. I'll have to deal with that in the next few moments. So eyes on that. Oracle about to arrive. There is already Adept just moving around the main base. The Marine's already here. Oh, he's going to find the first Widow Mine. It's actually a pretty nice kill. Means it's not hiding behind a mineral line or something. It's not hiding somewhere trying to be annoying. And you just get rid of it. It's less of a threat, and obviously less Widow Mine drop potential as well. So all in all, a pretty great moment there from Geralt. Now, he does take maybe more damage than necessary on that Oracle. That's my only complaint, is that the Oracle maybe didn't need to drop solo on HP. Kind of flew through the natural there and took a lot more damage than, like I say, was in my eyes required, but let's see. I kind of like that Widow Mine as well, just poking out a little bit and just trying to catch other units maybe coming in from the Stargate, coming in from a weird direction or so. I can absolutely get behind that. That seems pretty realistic. As our Marines get to the right side, Oracle takes some damage. And we go from there. Factory's going to go over to the far right as we get a Nexus on the third base. So just seeing that blink coming up, it's about halfway done, and the Raven is going to be finishing up fairly shortly as well. Oracle continues to the center of the map. Just getting ourselves a bit of action on this Widow Mine. It is no! Just gonna go down. This is the Revelation too, although it wouldn't have really made any sort of difference, right? Just trying to get a Revelation on something before it dies. Nice catch from the Widow Mine. I like the position of it. Makes a lot of sense, I think, based on, you know, where this Stargate is. And we're actually going to rebuild a new Oracle. So Geralt says, hey, look, I really value that Oracle. I really feel like, you know, what it provides me in terms of vision and so on is important enough to replace it the moment it goes down. So let's get that Oracle online, continue to hold my vision on the map, and then just play from there. Of course, that is a little bit more of an investment. And now you've built, what, 3 Stargate units? Usually when you play like Stargate into Blink, you're playing 1 Oracle. But now you've built a Phoenix and a second Oracle behind this? It's a little bit of a shame. This Widow Mine's still here, and Geralt will find some belated revenge. As we try to get the Raven there, that doesn't quite happen. That Stalker will go down as well. And just going to be seeing a few Stalkers back into the center for the moment. Raven escapes away to the far left-hand side. So, Raven escaping away, heading down to the bottom left. And the Stargate now going to get cleaned out. But the Raven actually found by the Phoenix. Yep, that's a nice matrix, nice idea, but the Stalkers are on the other side of it, so good cleanup from Geralt. Getting rid of the Raven is a big plus. Gets rid of a lot of potential. Nice Stasis Ward as well, catches a chunk of units. We'll see if we can take advantage of that at all, or if it's just going to be a slowdown, make it even longer before Spirit can get aggressive, which is fine because we're getting closer and closer to the charge. Once charge is in the game, that is typically when the Protoss players are absolutely in love with their army and being able to kind of take a lot more fights against Bioforces. Not so surprising to see Geralt not really wanting to fight before then. Like I say, that buy time was nice, but it wasn't enough. Charge still not done here, in fact. Because we do see the Bioforce getting ready to stim into this. I mean, there's a good few batteries, but we can obviously kite away. We don't have to fight in range of the batteries here. We get rid of one. There's a cannon here that is going to be powered. As the Zealots are fighting out of range of the super battery, is it going to be enough? Again, without charge, these Zealots are just nowhere near as good as they should be. I mean, I guess once they initially closed the distance, it wasn't so bad, but yeah, just not as pretty of a trade as what you might have wanted. But you didn't really have a choice. Obviously, you did need to fight back there, and Geralt does fight back there. And, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, just okay with it, don't get me wrong, as, Widow Mine in the main base trying to be very annoying. We are going to go off on a probe that actually splashes and kills a Stalker. Well, that's rather nice. I was just going to be seeing the scan down there, trying to see what's up. A couple of these final units going down. And that is going to be the medevac, just about escaping out over the left-hand side for the moment. 6 probes being killed. So that's 6 probes getting picked off right there. That's a pretty big deal, as you see all of our Marines are going to be picking away there. Well, overall, SCV count's looking comfortable, up to 3 bases from Spirit as well. He is continuing to attack and moving into that Ghost Academy. Is obviously going to be a nice little step for him, as this one Marine continues to give chase to that probe on the left-hand side, going all the way around the top. Fire Force in the center will grab a pylon, and the Storm is just going to finish up for the moment too. He's just going to get that Storm completed for now. Ooh, Widow Mine lands on a few probes going down already. Another Widow Mine that gets picked up as we stim in big on the left-hand side. Canceling a 4th base. Starts to feel as though Spirit has a lot of map control here. Starts to feel like he's just got a lot of control in this game at the moment, and that Geralt is really struggling to break through some of that. Struggling to kind of bounce back in these situations. So, not too pretty right now from Geralt as Zealots and Stalkers get through there. Clearing up that Widow Mine as well. Here comes a little bit of bio from Spirit, continuing through to the middle of the map. Looking for some larger fights, and obviously that's a great start, catching a few Zealots. Not only is there some free kills, even sniping a couple at the end, but it's also just denying the potential damage done if those Zealots get across the map. It's putting a stop to them very early on. That means you can fully focus on pushing on in here. You scan the Stasis Ward, so that's a great start. Stimming only the Marauders initially, so they get in front. And a couple of Zealots on the right side did get up to go and hit this base. That will be a minor annoyance, but 2 Zealots over there, much less egregious than like 6 or 7 Zealots over there. Which I think it's like 5 maybe that got caught. So yeah, nice to only have a couple. That's very easily dealt with then from Spirit's point of view. Obviously, Storm can come down here from Geralt, but it's about finding the right moment to get those Storms in play. and keeping those High Templar away from the EMPs until the storm can go off. And there's a couple High Templar on the right side. That's going to be the sneak forward that he needs. Wow, and I wouldn't mind, I think, even friendly firing there. Helping out toward the end. Zealots will keep on charging through. Ghosts are being chased. Stalkers are chasing down. And yeah, Ghost after Ghost getting sliced and diced right now. As we do turn at least to start fighting a few of these Zealots towards the tail end of this. I'm just going to be seeing the Vikings turn around to go after that Oracle as well. Oracle will go down. Another Storm dropping. An EMP, but an EMP on a group of units that dodged away. Spirit's still holding a pretty sizable supply lead in the game right now, so looking good in that regard. Let's see if he can keep that up, as obviously this game really does start to look very, very good for him. All said and done, he's in a extremely comfortable position, I would say. He's up to 4 bases. You know, he had a minor bit of harassment on his 4th base, but nothing too serious. So I think that's been absolutely okay. You know, he's gone with very minimal damage taken over there. You can see Geralt is moving around this left-hand side now as well, so is looking to intercept. He has decent vision and enough to know where his opponent is moving to, so he's not going to be caught out of position if nothing else. Let's see if he can do enough. I mean, he's got Disruptors coming on the field. Disruptor magic does exist. You know, we have seen Disruptors absolutely save games that probably shouldn't have been saved in the past, so that's something we can look to. You know, honestly, I mean, that is kind of the game plan right now from Geralt. Hold out, don't let Spirit break you, and if you can do that, then just draw this out and wait until you find some of those really good Disruptor hits to then launch an attack yourself. Of course, Spirit can do a lot to position around this. He can make it very difficult for Geralt, making it hard for Geralt to just survive until that point. That Disruptor shot's pretty okay. I don't know how much I like this from Spirit. I mean, he's not really surrounded, but the fact there was a couple High Templar upper right kind of means that he was kind of surrounded by splash damage, so he ends up taking a lot more damage than expected. Spirit gets chased away from here. It's a huge win from Geralt on this side of the map. That's incredible damage. Wow, what a turnaround. Like I say, I mean, it was kind of in Spirit's hands to try and find those openings, and that was not one of them. In fact, that's probably one of the worst fights he could have taken in the end. It looked okay because he felt like the majority of units were to the left, so he's getting to the right. He was looking to fight that base without any consequences. But because there was just those couple High Templar on the far right, they were able to change everything in that moment. I mean, it's really crazy how much just changed in that moment, in fact. As another Disruptor shot fires, and we blink straight in, trying to get a Sense Tower. Doesn't quite grab it yet. Obviously, the Planetary here will generally dissuade a lot of the engagements that sometimes might break out. The SCV's going down the top side, since some Zealots running by, and that's not enough Marines to fight this. We have a few more Marines coming up. These Zealots have that charge back to engage that second group of units. They might still do well. I don't mind that they're just going to run in over this side and instead say, you know what, yeah, let's just go after a few more SCVs. Geralt's trying to push his way up this choke point, see if he can work his way in and work some magic here and keep on pushing what is a supply lead for himself at the moment in the game. Looking pretty okay for him so far. Disruptor shot starting to land, and Spirit having to lift up. As Liberators show up, the Stalkers should just be able to target those down before many shots go off. Match is going to blink through and get rid of the final few bio units, although, to be fair, the Medivacs are healing and doing a great job. There's so many Medivacs, however, and there is a point at which, you know, the Medivacs just have nothing to heal, so that becomes completely wasted supply. It's not quite going to happen here just yet, though, so for the moment, we're going to be okay. For the moment, this will continue on. Oh, EMP's going down. Spirit desperately trying to find a hold here. Liberator's sieging is not going to last long enough. We do force the High Templar to morph into an Archon at least. Spirit actually has an army supply lead. Again, just so much of it is in Medivacs, and if the Medivacs have nothing to heal, then what does it matter? Absolutely nothing, of course. I mean, this just does not look good. Lib's going to siege up again. 6 SCVs have gone down. Link up to the top. The Planetary Fortress already taking damage. It's going to fall down as well, so the Planetary Fortress is now gone. And yeah, Spirit just gets into a worse and worse spot. He can't quite stabilize. I mean, I think he's going to stay alive now. The fact he's got actually, you know, some units from the Medivacs to help, well, he did until the Disruptor shot landed. He still has some. Just obviously that wasn't pretty. I mean, it's getting better for Spirit in that regard, but he's also down a lot of SCVs now that originally he wasn't really losing, so it was kind of okay, but yeah, now it's looking to be kind of on the worst end of all that, so a little nasty indeed. shots firing. Boom! Actually, really nice disruptor shot as those units try to come forward. Nothing came of it. And the Marines get it blown up, so that was a nice moment or so as well. As we are going to be seeing these couple Stalkers still just working their way through. A couple units on the side there. Nice Liberator at least gets a few probe kills, and that definitely pushes you in the right direction, if nothing else. Yeah, I can't complain too much about that. That was pretty reasonable, in fact. And like I say, it gives you maybe, again, if nothing else, a shot at least, right? A chance, perhaps, possibly. Gives you a bit of something, gives you a bit of hope. But Warning Probes died. Yeah, like I say, without that, I mean, Spirit's really not really even kind of touching to be in this game. So, yeah, that was actually a really good little something to have happen. Nice from Spirit. Staying in this really will fight until the very end. And like I say, making kind of the correct plays so far based on that. And is at times kind of looking as though he might just about be getting enough done. A couple disruptor shots flying. I don't think Geralt can just attack into that. I know he's getting Tempest up, so he's getting a better response set up in the zone as well. Yeah, I just can't imagine that you end up kind of fully attacking into that position. It's going to be much more about trying to slowly, you know, break this work around it and so on. But we are starting to move towards as he sends a few units here and there on the map. Trying to find some openings, trying to find what he can. Again, so far maybe not too much luck just yet. So the Tempest obviously really good again. They can hit units from afar and they can force the fight when you don't really want to commit in. Uh-oh, though, is this going a little bit too far? Because now you've got those Liberators sieging up, and it was kind of clear that you did not want to be fighting around those Libs, so that got a little bit messy for a moment or two. Not too bad, though. Just going to be seeing again some Stalkers picking away at the CC. Again, it's just about making sure Spirit can't ever feel properly comfortable in this game again, and he can never really get fully set back up or anything, so as long as we're doing that, I feel like we're going to remain in a pretty good position. Disruptor shot's going through, doesn't land on much. We're actually going to get rid of a lot of Libs here. Not sure if this is a great fight at all for Spirit, but he is going to start surrounding. You know, once those Libs went down, he's actually able to have a huge amount of chase potential, and he's getting a lot of damage done on the chase. A couple storms coming down there as you get rid of that High Temple. The units didn't die, they're just hurting, but it's not like the Stalkers really want to turn around and fight. Another stim, though. Every stim is starting to hurt a little bit too much, perhaps, as well. It's definitely one of the other problems that's starting to come around in all of this. Gonna pull back a little bit. It's going to be seeing the disruptor shots firing again. Vikings getting taken down. Liberator siege. EMP's going down. This is a great fight from Spirit, I think, as long as these disruptors don't land, because once the disruptors are gone, he can kind of just stim through. Now, there's a couple flanking High Temple. If they can land storms, they change everything, because you're not positioned or playing around the flank of storms, and that's huge splash damage done. Spirit's going to lose a lot of his units, and that's actually going to end the game. You're not playing with the idea of those storms coming in mind and in the slightest, right? Like you too. Bottom right hand side, the blue Terran player and Kaiser Gaming is Spirit. Taking on the red Protoss in the bottom left-hand corner. It's going to be Geralt. So a little bit of game number 2, Blackburn, fun map. Obviously some gold base action, a very deniable gold base. Obviously a lot of potential to kind of split the map and neither player being able to attack in. And with these two in play, like this actually could turn into a very long game as well, for sure. Probe just comes adventuring forward initially. Predict BCs versus Skytoss, yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't know if we'll get to BCs, but I do think that these two have the tendency to play kind of long games. And a map like Blackburn obviously really only plays into that sort of tendency as well, so... Possibility for sure. I just don't know if, yeah, I just don't know if, Geralt would play into that much. I know Geralt likes longer games, but, and like I said, I just don't know if he plays into it that heavily. I wouldn't surprise you if this series lasted longer than yesterday's whole group. Okay, guys, let's stop bullying yesterday's group, okay? It wasn't great. I admitted that too. Let's just let yesterday's group die in peace. The less we think about it, the better it is for everybody, okay? So let's just chill it out. We don't need to talk about yesterday anymore. We can just forget it ever happened. Yeah, it was a bit of a disaster yesterday, wasn't it? Like, jeez. It was freaking horrendous, honestly. Well, just watching a sentry nibble some rocks. I mean, this is also more exciting than yesterday's group. Okay, I couldn't resist it, guys. What happened yesterday? It was just not good. Like, Clem just beat everyone as you kind of expect Clem to. 3 out of 6 maps in PvP were 3 minutes long with a cannon rush. Exact same proxy gate cannon rush setup. Won twice in a row, lost once at the end of the day. And then the other 3 maps were PvPs that were also just very... That was like one interesting one that was maybe like could go either way and was like a bit of a base trade, but like that was like the one okay-ish game. And honestly, like it wasn't long, it was still pretty short. And honestly, there was also just someone who was like very far ahead from very early on. Like yesterday, basically at this point in every game, it was already like, oh, this guy's going to win, and then they won. So it was yesterday just wasn't pretty, you know. So yeah, just unfortunate, you know, those days. All the games that happened yesterday kind of all came at once, right? That's the rough part of it. That's the difficult part of it for sure. And do get this Nexus down for the moment. And that's set up as a couple of simulators continue on in. So I thought, oh, medevac going to try and drop through. Wouldn't mind drop. It's not going to get far enough in though, so that's going to be a bit of a shutdown already, so that doesn't really go all too well. That's, like I said, just going to drop them down pretty much straight away. A couple of probes end up dropping as well, so yeah, not exactly pretty at all so far. Wait to see what is going to end up coming of this. But so far it's been a pretty nasty start, huh? That's not really ideal. Observer is just set up here, and yeah, like I say, kind of just a nasty start. Not really what you're looking for to get underway with, unfortunately. Well, do you have a little bit of a move out from Geralt, as he has got Blink in play, and so we should expect those Stalkers to start move on the map and taking a bit of map control and all that kind of fun stuff, so kind of expecting a little bit of that right now. Just obviously try and keep that map control, just try and stop Spirit from kind of moving out again himself if at all possible, so just aiming towards that. Raven is going to go behind the mineral line and drop down for a couple of additional probe kills. That's 2 extra probes dropping dead. Means we Stalkers really do want to try and jump up in toward the main base. But the units are well positioned. I mean, it's a 2-base Terran. You know, if you can't defend 2 bases, what are you going to be able to defend in a TvP? Well, probably not a lot, so Nice to just see the defense be in place and no one's really messing around, and there shouldn't really be any like major weakness or anything here. So yeah, looking good in that regard. Stalkers are very desperate to get that tech lab. It is combat shield and not stim. It's a little bit of a shame, right? I mean, overall, you would have preferred to get stim, but you don't know. It's a 50-50 choice right there. During this, a few probes went down, but most importantly, Spirit's about to stim into the third. He scans and says no, actually. He says he doesn't want to. Maybe didn't believe he could jump on the Colossus with the sentries there. Now he's got a pretty good spread if he does want to fight. Targets down the first sentry with the Guardian Shield. The few Marines on the top side not really helping the army, but they do pick away at the front. The Raven looked as though it wanted to come through, but it didn't cast anything there, if I'm not mistaken. So nothing from that just yet, as this army of Spirit has taken a step away. Extra units joining up into the middle of the map, and just going to be seeing another medevac on the bottom side loading up. Observer is there. Just going to see that medevac 3rd CC is continuing to build. Is going to be done fairly soon, as Extra Gates and the Templar Archives is going to end up going down as well. This is nice if you can just pull a bit of attention into the main base, then maybe that opens up the chance to run at the front again. There's the Raven still in the back that could Matrix a Colossus. There's potential all over the place here. 2 Widow Mines initially, now a few Bio-Units will burrow up. We're all going to get probes, and then a Stalker blinked back too late, so probe and a Stalk the Widow Mines. Second Stalker will not go down, as the Marauder Marine will go back. 9 probes to go down, though, over here as harassment continues, and that is just Spirit. The only thing he's not doing yet is obviously moving with the main army forward, but he's actually sending another drop into the main base, so he just says, okay, you're not pulling much to deal with this, let's just go reinforce it. And again, if you want to leave your units at the front, then feel free, but I'm going to take advantage of this. Into the main he runs, pylons are under heavy fire. 1 pylon, 2 pylons, that's such a cancel on that warp-in. Now these units might get a little bit stuck in the back, Stalkers blink in, they're going to get straight on the medevac, so these units absolutely are stuck, but now with 2 Colossi here, is this not when the units on the front line start to move in? Yes, it is. There's nothing left on the third. Recall already used. All of those units are up in the main base. And this, my friends, is going to be complete cleanup over here. This Nexus is absolutely going to go down. So Nexus falls, Pylon's going to go down, and that is pretty much going to be that. As that is, like I say, full cleanup right there. Grab that order turret, just going to see the Stalker still blinking through and still looking to chase the Raven if at all possible. Obviously, extra kills at the end here would be nice, especially the Raven should die. The Colossi join up. Wow, we actually give up chasing. Surprised he didn't get the Raven. I really felt like he should have been able to catch that. Obviously, if the units turn around to fight, the Colossi are there, so then you get a good unit trade if nothing else. Yeah, I found that a little bit surprising, I suppose, but not too crazy at the end of the day. Just going to see that Storm coming online. Nexus coming up and waiting for the next step of this game 2. Well, Spirit's absolutely in a great spot. He's got so much supply. I did like where Spirit was at in the last game, though, and it all turned around so quickly. I think right now he's definitely further ahead than he was in the last game, however, so it'll be a little tougher to lose out on this one this time, I guess. Stalker's still sitting in the front, just going to be seeing those probes transferring around. Zealot's still in the upper right as well. That one Zealot going to come through. Wants to get the SCV, doesn't quite manage it. There we go, just nab it in the end. And just going to see a few Bio-Units will clean up, finish off that Zealot. Getting rid of that means a couple of SCVs died. Nothing too major. That'll be about it. I lost about 1.3k more so far as well, so quite a bit more kind of lost in the trades. Kind of just telling the tale of this fight so far. So we are going to see, oh, wow, ouch. That's all 4 of his High Templar that just died. He did go to Storm, and that was the end of the Storm. That was it. Vikings will kill the Colossi, no Prism to micro them, and that's a very clean execution from Spirit, who just shuts down Geralt and will take game 2. So we are going to begin down in the bottom left-hand side with Kaisi Gaming Spirit. The Blue Terran player tying the series up 1-1 to obviously bring us into this game number 3. His opponent in the top right from Psystorm Gaming is Geralt. Let's see what we get. On Hardwire, A fun set of maps from these two, 2K Hardwire, and obviously there was Blackburn slapped in the middle of that. Let's see what happens on this this third game. Again, just a reminder, the other two players in this group, Raynor and Fighting Frog. Fighting Frog, definitely the dark horse of the group. There was actually here, not necessarily through an invite, but through qualification, he was in the top end of the WardiTV 2022 series points for spring. And because of that, he, well, I mean, it wasn't invite-based, but it was an invite based on points. So because he played in previous tournaments in this season so far, he got that invite, and it'll be exciting to see him play a little bit further down the line today. Probe comes in, just gonna go nibbling for the moment. Has to be chasing after that right now, and just gonna see that probe coming through. And just gonna have the movement coming around, nothing too crazy. To get set up. Max is building on the natural expansion, Stalker coming through, factory getting going, reactor building from Spirit. It's Twilight Council opening here from Geralt, so very familiar to what we're kind of expecting to see. Don't think anyone's too surprised or shocked or anything by this just yet. So all good in that regard. As we get ourselves set up to go. Stalker's heading all the way out down the bottom left. Honestly, just would like to get a little bit of map control going early, poke around, see if there is anything. Stalker doesn't have that mobility like an Adept does to like shade out of trouble a lot of the time, so it's not often you see the Stalker walking across this early in the game at least. So that is a little different, but nothing really too like, oh my goodness, what the hell is this? It's like, it's not like we never see a Stalker moving across, it's just so often we have the early Adept, and that's going to generally make that kind of, you know, be the one that kind of makes that sort of a move. Nothing comes around the top side of the map. Robot facility is about halfway done. The Adept will sit in the natural wall-off, which is going to keep that Hellion out for the moment. So the Adept and the Stalker there able to turn the Hellion away. Hellion up to the top, getting set. Just going to be seeing that robot facility finishing, and the Adept will sit there and look to chase the Hellion out from the top of the map for now. Actually shades on top as well, and the Hellion nearly going down. Does just about get away, but got a little bit close. Here comes our Widow Mine drop, and let's see if Spirit can find some early game damage this time around. Get something done to start us off with here, and kick things off into a nice speedy follow-up. There we go, Widow Mine 1, Widow Mine 2, gonna unload. Throw up first, Widow Mine. Goes down already, and those few Stalkers do blink in underneath, and they are gonna get themselves the medevac. Okay, well, 2 probes, but you lose the medevac. I'd say this is pretty okay here from Geralt. He's fine with this. The medevac going down means that this harassment can't continue. The mines are dead, they can't be used again. 2 probes, 1 for each Widow Mine is pretty much usually the best trade you get, unless you straight up catch the medevac and kill the mines as they drop out, etc. So yeah, I don't think anyone has ever really complained about getting 2 mines and a medevac for the 2 probes. We do have the Stalkers warping in. This is 4 gates, so It's a third base now. Obviously a much later third base than usual, and we're going to be, again, having these 4 gates of Stalkers. Try and deal some damage. Now, this was kind of bio-heavy on the follow-up here, so the first tank just now pops. There are 2 bunkers on the natural, though. No tank on the natural, however. And I think this means we actually kind of just commit, and you see the first bunker on the bottom side being surrounded by SCVs. So you go to the bunker on the top side initially with your target firing. That's, obvious. So honestly, that's actually kind of a key play on the Raven, because that's going to delay a warp in, perhaps. 4 SCVs went down thus far. Let's see a few additional Stalkers warping in on the top side. The extra couple of gates building up in the natural. Robo Bay is about halfway done. Charge still building up here as our Stalkers sit beneath the prism just for the moment. The Stalker's blinking out the left a little bit. And just going to be seeing the tank pulling back into the main slightly. Starport begins to build a reactor, and let's see if the prism can do anything too annoying. Again, you got a lot of Stalkers at the front, but yeah, I mean, if you kill a bunker, that doesn't really matter. This bunker is designed to buy time, which is exactly what it does. And the Stalkers have to sit here, take tank damage, and now Stim's going to be done. So there's no way these Stalkers can take a fight against these bio units because of the way the Stim's going to work. They're just going to stim up, and the Stalker's going to have a very bad time if they try and stick around in those fights. So they're immediately going to have to be very cautious of that. As you can see, the Stalkers for the moment will begin to just run the hell away from here. And the Zod's showing up, and they're going to start getting rid of quite a few of these SCVs. So nice little counterattack as Spirit wants to attack across the map. I feel like Spirit had a rough idea this was going to happen, though, because he did see the prism in his base not so long ago, so you've got to have some inkling that, hey, this is kind of a setup he's got. Raven, of course, huge right now, is going to get the Matrix on the Colossus. We're going to dive, and the Colossus derp forward, allows the easy kill on it, and that's going to be a dead Robo facility, too. Disruptor's not going to get out, and Spirit looking very good right now. Gonna see some Zealots coming in on the flank thanks to the prism that recalled home. These tanks actually are taking a lot of damage, and the bio unit's not really standing up for this. Wow. What a defense from Geralt. I did not think he was going to end up turning this around, but he does turn it around. Wow, he kills everything as well. Holy crap. I'm genuinely impressed, because I thought this was, you lose that Colossus so quickly. Robo facility falls. I thought for sure this was doomed, but wow, kills everything, and that gives them a big opportunity now, because by killing everything, when you rebuild the double Robo facility, you can then get back on track with your kind of disruptor and splash damage production, basically. So that's going to be fantastic, as we just see our bio units picking their way through at the moment. So still sat around in the center, a couple Colossi building up now from Geralt. He would love to just get that Colossus count back online. The Disruptor before was more of a, oh crap, you're coming, let's try and get something that can quickly push you back. The Colossi though says, hey, I'm comfortable getting up into a lot of splash damage again. I've given myself this kind of, comfortable gap between, before you hit me again and being able to get units back up, because I just cleaned up in full. We'll see if that's true. For now, it's a cancel 4th base. Spirit at least will force the cancel on that. But there's already a pretty sizable start to this, if nothing else. We do cancel a 3rd base over there, though. Spirit only being on 2 bases still is a problem. This is starting to get to, well, it's 9.5 minutes, and the 3rd only just begun, right? that's a long time to be sit and win for your 3rd base to come up. It's definitely not pretty, because we are going to be seeing the fight coming in with this drop into the main. And powers a few gateways. The units were not too far away. They were sat on the natural at first, but the Widowmine's doing good work to allow the Marines a chance against those Zealots. And the Stalker's already on blink cooldown, means they can't chase the Medivacs as they escape down the right side. That's actually a pretty good fight from Spirit. Didn't expect that drop to be as successful as it was, quite frankly. Gathering up on this far right side. We're going to load up into the drops again. There's not a lot of vision on the map at the moment from Geralt, which is obviously quite scary. He is going to come in with this prism, but there's a group of Marines nearby. Spirit needs to respond like as quickly as possible. He needs to realistically respond a little sooner than he did, and then target fire the prism to stop the additional warp. And here comes the big play into the base. Going to lose at least one full medevac of units. The Liberators will get very far forward to try and siege up, but because of that, loses one of them. So the battery doesn't last very long, so the cannon warped in doesn't do much either. There was a Colossus shot from the bottom side. I actually think these bio units could probably dive on the Colossus on the bottom side. If he noticed it a little bit sooner, this time around, this is just not a good enough drop from Spirit. And this is looking as though Geralt is going to be good in game number 3 to take this series because his supply lead is significant. And Spirit's just now moving out to a third base. His SCV count's never been brilliant in this game. He does have upgrades over his opponent, but he's going to need to start taking much better fights. And it's almost a little bit too late to start asking for better fights right now. It's just a little too late to maybe ask for that at the moment, so... Just through the bottom side, just going to be seeing the army of Geralt in the center. So just going to fire a disruptor shot, which will not quite land on the Bioforce there. Bio's going to dive in. I don't hate it. Get rid of these disruptors, maybe back it up. See, he just doesn't quite have the firepower to get rid of Colossi, though, and he obviously knows that as well. GG's. Roddy.